Welcome to the AU Scoop. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes D Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes D Scoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you haven't already, go become a member. You're seeing more consistent Auburn videos coming, and we just gonna talk like cousins or friends or buddies at the bar, man. That's all it is. And we all love Auburn. That's what we're gonna talk about. Now, let's get straight into it. Auburn lands athlete from DeSoto, Mississippi, Eric Perry. Auburn is recruiting him as a running back. All right. So if you haven't already, go check out the film on Eric Perry. It's a good 3 minutes that I saw on 24/7 that they had listed from his huddle. All right, so here's the and we're gonna get into some more recruiting, but the biggest news is you got a commitment in the 26 class at running back. One, I think this means that unless something changes right now, we know where like the big three in the Southeast, Jay Lamar, EJ Crowell, and Derek Cooper are all planning on going elsewhere as of the moment. All right, cool. There is Eric Perry doesn't have any film as a traditional running back. He's a quarterback, but you can see what Derek Nix, offensive coordinator, his lead recruiter, running back coach, sees in Eric Perry. So he's 6 feet 190. He looks like he's about 200 pounds on film. Tough runner, plays quarterback, but a ton of design runs. When you go look at his highlights, the first 6, 7 runs, his junior year highlights, he ain't even throwing the ball for the first 7 plays, and they are highlights. When I think about Eric Perry, I think about explosion. I think about pace. I think about balance. I think about toughness. These are things that you usually don't consider when you're talking about a quarterback. This guy has outstanding balance. You'll see he spins like a top. When he makes his mind up to go, he's gone. He has some. I haven't seen his 40 time or anything like that. But man, oh man, when he opens it up, no, he's sliding, man. Let me see what else I can find on Mr. Perry. So they got nickname EP for his initials. So look, I don't think as many people were recruiting him as a quarterback. I mean, as a running back. Auburn got out there early. I think as he um, start like last year, he had 880 yards on 100 rushes, 113 rushes, 11 rushing touchdowns. Let me see. I'm looking for. Yeah, so I was checking to see if he had any verified track times just to verify that speed. But when you see him on film, you can see it. I think maybe more of a developmental guy. Just to learn some of the nuance of running back, right? Um, Pad level, something that can be worked on. Vision, right? Pressing the gap, pressing the hole, like just understanding the nuance of running back. But there's a really, really pretty ball of clay that you can mold into something. Good size. If he comes into the running back room right now, he's one of the bigger backs in the room automatically. And today's like being 6 feet. So when you think of the likes of Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Austin, Alvin Henderson, he's one of the bigger backs in that room already. Good size. As an Auburn fan, alum, someone who really, I'm taking off the media hat at this point, and I'm just saying, just as an Auburn alum, you would have liked or hoped that Auburn would have gotten one of the other running backs that they had hosted. But this is a guy that you can't be mad at. And I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, yeah, you wish Auburn would have got one of the guys that you already hosted. Me personally, I was, hoping that once they circle back on Carson Baker, he would have listened. But let's not and I know there's a lot of people upset, and there's people that feel like, what is he doing? What is Nick's doing? Don't don't pass judgment too quickly on this guy. When you watch it, you'll get it. But you have to watch it. So you think, oh, he's a 3-star, he's ranked 1200th in the country. What are we doing? You got to go watch it to understand it. The more I watch, the better I like it. And from my experience, there are going to be other teams now that Auburn has taken him as a running back. You better believe there are more offers coming. This year, he'll probably continue to play quarterback. I think that's going to be a question, I think, at the 10th. But you'll see in those design runs that things will his recruitment is going to pick up. And I think that Auburn did a good job to get in early before everybody else catches on. And I think they did that with a few players that were there this weekend. So let's not be too judgmental based on the rankings. Okay. I think that this is when we talk about a prospect, someone who can do it all. One thing I do like, they always say quarterbacks have good hands, right? They touch the ball more than anybody. So usually it's a rule of thumb that a quarterback can usually play wide receiver because they have good hands. They're used to catching the ball. So I think as he learns how to catch the ball out the backfield, I think the one thing that you are going to have to work on him with as a quarterback is blocking. We've seen that multiple times, but when you see how physical this guy is, he's a punishing runner at quarterback. So I implore you to please go check out the highlights. You'll be impressed and you'll feel a lot better about it. And I doubt that he's ranked 1200th after this season or going into the season. I mean, after the first 4 games, you should see some movement on his ranking. And I think the Auburn commitment is going to have some people opening their eyes like, all right, this guy is a little better than what we have him ranked. So shout out to him. Shout out to his program in Southaven, Mississippi, DeSoto. This is a quote for him. Shout out to my man Christian Clemente as always. He says, I just wanted to play at the highest level in the SEC. I really didn't want to play anywhere else. They had reached out to me and I was really excited because my cousin played at Mississippi State. And so to me, that was the standard for where I had to be. It was really the first time that he got to Auburn that he felt like that. Yeah. This is him on Derek Nix. Perry said he was really the main factor. He was the one to call my phone. He told me everything, talked to my family. He felt the vibe. He really wanted me. And I felt like he was truthful in everything he was saying. That's so important, man. So, man, shout out to Mr. Perry. We're hoping for a great career at Auburn. And just for, the naysayers and the boo birds and, just be patient. Now, let's get into the rest of the weekend. Last weekend there was a big weekend in Auburn as far as official visits. Oh, also, Auburn did get a 2027 commitment from Jalen Scott, who flipped from Florida State. It's early, so I want to keep it based on the 26 class, but we'll get into the 27s as the year progresses. Xavier Tiller was in town, tight end out of Langston Hughes, someone who people thought could commit to Auburn multiple times already. Nickname Zay Zay. I know him pretty well. Been knowing him for a while now. I usually, of course, most of y'all know I great relationships at Langston Hughes. Coach Boone has moved on the north side. Warner Robbins is my childhood buddy, but they got Drico, Andrico Hines, great mind. He was the offensive coordinator on that team that won the state. So he's back at Langston, and one of his biggest weapons is Xavier Tiller. And he's planning to use them all over the field. Zay, as we call him, is 6'4", 215, starting to fill out some more. This year, his focus has been blocking. He's been working more with the offensive line. Shout out to Big Mike over there at Langston Hughes. So Zay is working on becoming – he's looking at the rankings. He's working on becoming the total package at tight end. He thinks he's the number 1 tight end in the country, and he's seeking out to prove it this year. Saw it in 707, played with a real nasty streak in 707 for Huncho Elite. Shout out to Coach Parlay. And I think Auburn, he was formerly committed to Texas A&M. I think Auburn has the best shot for Zay, but you got to watch Florida State. Florida State made a move for Xavier Tiller and his teammate running back Carson Baker, Langston Hughes, former Auburn target. So Carson took his OV to Florida State this past weekend, and Xavier goes this weekend. So I will monitor that. Those guys have a good relationship as well. So, uh, but I do like where Auburn stands for Xavier Tiller. Just from talking to the family, I like where they stand at this point. So it's one of those where he talks about his relationship with Coach Ben, which I think is super important. Coach Ben had another tight end in town, Mr. J.C. Anderson. Let's go find out about my man Anderson. Okay, so right now you look at the tight end room in Auburn, you say, okay, there's some things to be desired. That's a room that you want to get better. Coach Ben is working hard. Had 2 4-stars on campus. We just talked about uh, Xavier Tiller. Now we talk about J.C. Anderson. I think these guys are ranked 9 and 10 in that order in the country at tight end. He's from Illinois. Um, Illinois leads. Uh, so it's 4. Chris Clemente reports that there are 4 guys on the board. J.C. Anderson is one of them. They're trying to make a move here. I think this is a world where you do take 2 tight ends. You need some athleticism. I think right now you're fighting Ole Miss, where he visited on the 30th. June 5th, took a visit to hold on one second. So apparently, Anderson was originally scheduled to go to North Carolina on the 5th and Auburn on the 13th, but he switched those dates around. So he goes to Auburn last weekend, has a good time. Says that Auburn has given us a lot to think about. Really enjoyed themselves since Auburn was always in the top, always at the top 3. Now they have a very strong case. So he was at Ole Miss the week before. Goes to North Carolina next, and right now he said he wants to make a decision on July 1st. I think you need both of these guys in the class just to replenish that tight end room. 2 guys that I think that can do who have different skill sets, but I think you could play on both. If they come in and do what they have to do. JC is already 6'6" and 230, more of a traditional tight end, but he does have some. He can move. He's a really good mover. Xavier Tiller is more of that Y or that stretch tight end. So I think you could take both of these guys. You really need both of these guys to kind of fix what's going on in that room, recruiting wise. So I like where they stand for both of these guys. Just to be honest, I don't think. I think the one overarching, I guess, deal breaker for all of this is Auburn just got to win this year. So I think getting these guys on campus is important. And now it's just time to close. You get Eric Perry. Hopefully, you get somebody else to jump in the boat soon. 4-star wide receiver Marquez Daniel, Auburn, Florida battle. I think it's Auburn had a chance to close this thing out super early, right? They looked around a little bit. He's down to Tuskegee. You want to get the guys in your backyard. I think it's back on, hot and heavy again. He's got some ties to the Florida staff, but Auburn is down the street. Kind of felt like Auburn may have slow played it a little bit. But that's kind of what it was, not what it is. Now they want to keep him home. They know what they got to do. They've seen enough. And so I think it's going to be hard for him to not pick Auburn. With what Auburn has done in the wide receiver room, I think it makes good sense. Former teammate Big Joseph, the DN, is at Auburn now, same school, Booker T. So yeah, I think I like where Auburn sits for Marquez Daniels. They just cannot take their foot off the gas. Auburn is in a position where they have to be so good with their evaluations because as other schools catch on to players, if there's a different feeling that happens when you identify a player and you don't recruit them hard, and then you wait and then you recruit them hard. Guys can feel that, so I think you got to be consistent. Whether however your board shakes out, if it's a guy that you're recruiting, you have to find a way to recruit consistently whether he's high on your board at the time or a little bit lower. You got to find the hours in the day because you never know how these things shake out. So I think Marquez Daniel was one that could have been put away a while ago, but now you back in it. You got to recruit. All right, Claude and Puma, 6'7", 310. Originally from Cameroon, man, just a really, really good looking prospect, man. Uh, hasn't been played, hasn't been playing football for forever. Late bloomer. Uh, he's got two other OVs. Michigan, Ohio State are looking to get involved, according to Christian. Um, Auburn connection, went to the same high school as Vontrell King Williams. He spoke highly about that. Uh, Came over, so they said he was supposed to be like a defensive tackle, moved over to the offensive side, and has been up ever since. This is a guy, more of a developmental guy, but one of those guys that once he gets it, has first round pick measurables. This is a guy I want this guy in the class. I think you got to get this guy in the class. I think you want to close him out. People are catching on to him. Great evaluation early, way to stay into it. I think he had a great visit. So I think now you got to really, you want to close. You want to close here. Hold on, let me get one of his quotes right quick. Here's a quote that I like from Puma, and his nickname is Puma. He said, "We had a lot of fun. We bowled on Saturday, spent a little time at dinner, then talked about football fundamentals, how he's going to help me, and everything else." Coach Thornton, Auburn offensive line coach, Coach Thornton is a great person. I love him. Coach Vontrell, that's my man. I think that helps a lot. I always have somebody to go to because he's from where I'm at right now. I love what kids say. That's my man's. That's my man's in them. That's a little bit. That's a nod to the culture, but he said that's my man's. Like that's my guy. I like it. I think there, as just reading the tea leaves, not making any prediction, but this is a guy I think you can't allow to get out the class. In a really, I guess I would say you don't have some of the guys in the class may not. I don't know if you have the David Sanders of last year in this class. Maybe, not. Maybe that's Jackson Cantwell. But I just think last year's probably had more. I think last year's class probably had more top end talent, and I think this year's class is deeper. Um, so this is a guy you love. Like I'm telling you, 2 years from now, you're asking about. Scouts are going to start sniffing around if he, shows the development. So, shout out to Puma, man. That's a guy, and shout out to Coach Thornton and Coach Vontrell because this guy's going to blow up even more than he is now. Nolan Wilson named these 4-star D lineman, teammate of Jamonte Waller back in Mississippi. 4-star guy. Visits Alabama last week. Names Alabama his leader. 6'4", 240. Could play multiple positions on the defensive line. Long nimbles. One of those things where you just like, bro, you just don't know if like we've seen it before. Does Ole Miss let him get out of Miami? Get out of Mississippi. Alabama was listed as his leader. Then Auburn. Now Auburn's pulled even. Ole Miss and Miami are contention. This is his quote. Auburn helped itself a lot. I've been up here twice. I got spoiled by their game days. Their game days are one of the best I've ever seen. Amen. They're over the top. I've been over here once just for an actual visit. It was really nice being able to hang out with Jamonte Waller, and him showed me what Auburn is really about. It really, really, really helped them. It pushed them up. That's good, man. You got like Auburn defensive line recruiting has been pretty good. That's one of the positions I worry less about. I think you're stacked for the future right there with a great class last year. So hopefully it comes around. But as everybody knows, if you watch, I'm really worried about offensive line, linebacker, and running back. Those are, I feel like you got to hit it out the park this class. So one of those guys you want to hit it out the park with is Emmanuel Iheanacho. Says Auburn pulled even with Penn State, tied for third, but made up some ground. Oregon and LSU are his leaders. He said he'll be there for a game in the fall, and his recruitment will not be closed until December, even though he plans to commit in August. But y'all got to win, Auburn. This is one of these ones. These. All right, let's just call a spade a spade. Auburn hasn't had a winning season in forever. You got to have proof of concept. But I'm telling you, Auburn, I say it every year. Last year, I said they win 8 games, you get the number one class. I don't know if you get a number one class this year with 8 games, but you get 8, 9 games this year. Things look a lot different in this year's recruiting class. Auburn is currently in the 30s, like 38, 34, something like that, 8 commitments in the class. That changes when you win. Like it's been you've had to pick your games perfectly as a recruit if you wanted to see Auburn beat an SEC team over the past couple of years at home. You had to pick. The SEC wins have been few and far between at the crib. Auburn's got Bama. Auburn has Georgia. Knock one of those guys off. They're going to be huge recruiting weekends. Let them feel the energy of Jordan here. It's going to sway people. Yes, you have to recruit, right? Yes, you have to, there are going to be NIL conversations. Yes, like there's a lot to be done that you have to do on the front end. I'm going to say this every time y'all see me on this microphone. Auburn got to win. It's year 3. Coach Freeze, that's my dog. Love Coach Freeze. Coach Freeze, super cool. Coach Freeze knows he's got to win. Yes, he said, he said some stuff like I think they said, making a bowl game, or I think he said his expectation low for some people's liking. Listen, Coach Freeze has a powder keg. I say it every year. This thing can really blow up. If this offense, if you get what you need out of Jackson Arnold, this thing can really blow up. Not just on the field, but off the field and recruiting. You got a lot of 5 stars on campus already that you seem not be in the mix for. When people see things go the right way, they also trend. They also tend to follow the trend. Win, and Auburn is in. The fact that Auburn recruited as well as they have been doing, having losing season, they haven't had a winning season since Gus left. You got to win. Right now, it's pie in the sky. You can tell me anything, but you're not winning. When you're recruiting against Georgia, winning, Bama, winning, Ohio State, winning, Tennessee, winning. Tennessee was a playoff team last year. We forgetting about that. South Carolina, you recruit against South Carolina. They won last year. Ole Miss, look at your competitors. Auburn's got to win. As simple as that. Recruiting to get better. Auburn's got to win. We're gonna say this a million times. All right, y'all. That's my time, man. I appreciate you. If it's a player I didn't cover, make sure that you drop it in the comments. We'll talk about it. I'll be back probably. I might come back Wednesday. I might come back Thursday. We definitely gonna do at least 2 or 3 of these a week, man. So start to subscribe. If you got something you want to talk about, let me know. Maybe we do an Auburn only live. Just let me know what you guys want to talk about, man, and I'll do my best to get to it. Appreciate you. Much love and War Eagle.